For over 10 years, I studied alternative medicines for cancer. And what I discovered is one of the most promising integrative treatments is reishi mushroom. So today we're going to be talking about reishi mushroom and its effects on cancer. So first, I want to make sure that you know that there are various naming systems for reishi. So reishi is sort of the common name, which is also the Japanese name, and it's actually pronounced something more like reishi. Ganoderma lucidum is the exact genus and species that's used in all the research. So if you do use reishi mushroom, you want to make sure that your supplier is selecting Ganoderma lucidum, not an alternative species. And then the Chinese common name is Lingzhi. So I want to talk first about some charismatic doctors in the Bay Area who actually used reishi mushroom in their practice. I'll read some case histories from a book that how I first learned about reishi mushroom, which is a book published in the 1970s called The Mysterious Reishi Mushroom. And for a period of time, that was the only information that was available in English on reishi mushroom. So first, I'll tell you about a doctor I'll call Dr. Leon. And Dr. Leon, not his real name, was a charismatic Qigong healer in the 1980s and 70s. And he traveled all through the country. He also was from China, so he went to China, all the countries like Taiwan, Singapore, Taiwan. Then he came to the United States and basically gave healings all over the place. So basically all the 20 major cities in the United States. And San Francisco Bay Area was one of the areas. And he pretty much just saw patients. So somebody would arrange for him to be seen by Dr. Leon, and then you'd wait, usually in a crowded hotel room or a crowded clinic, and then Dr. Leon would use hands-on healing on you. And the most interesting thing is Dr. Leon claimed that if you used his healing, he would do external, which means he would apply Qigong once a day for a period of time, typically like a month. And then you would do Qigong exercises on your own. And he claimed that if he did his treatments for a month and then did his Qigong exercises continuing every day and took reishi mushroom, that you cure your cancer. And actually, he said that you have 50% success rate in curing cancer. And the kicker was it didn't matter whether you use Western medicine or not. So he was one of the people that I wanted to investigate. So I actually told him I didn't have cancer at the time, but I scheduled a general tune-up, which is one of the things he offered. So his main bread and butter was people who had cancer and autoimmune and very difficult diseases, but he occasionally also treated people that just wanted a tune-up. So I was feeling kind of stressed, and I requested a tune-up. And I had this feeling of him doing this external qigong energy movement on me by waving his hands around my body and actually applying pressure to my body. And afterwards, I felt really good. I felt great. And part of this whole process is that it would take hours to wait through this whole list. Like he didn't do regular appointments, so you'd have to basically go in, take a number, and when it was your time, you were called. And many of the innovative or really charismatic healers do that in the United States as well as in Asia. And basically, so I talked to people in the waiting room, and there seemed to be something there. And I went back a few times. I talked to some of his patients. I talked to some of the practitioners who had studied under Dr. Riki or Dr. Leon. Now I'm talking about Dr. Leon. And they basically said, they'd never met somebody who just used Dr. Leon's treatment and reishi and got their cancer cured. But there were certainly many people who used Western medicine, did Dr. Leon's Qigong, and also took the reishi mushroom. So in this case, reishi was used as an adjunct to Qigong. And when we really saw effectiveness is when he added the reishi to the Qigong to the Western medicine. The next charismatic doctor I'd like to talk about, I'll call him Dr. Riki. And Dr. Riki actually lived in the Bay Area, and he had a booming practice. What I did like about Dr. Ricky is that he got results. One of the reasons he got results is he typically used herbs, nutrition, and energy healing, such as acupuncture, as well as laser treatments. And what Dr. Ricky used is reishi mushroom and Chinese herbs and energy healing with all his cancer patients. And he was really kind of, again, he was kind of a hustler. He charged a lot of money, which is one of the reasons I didn't refer a lot of people to Dr. Ricky. But on the other hand, he seemed to get results, again, just like Dr. Leon, particularly for people who also used Western medicine. And then just so you know, there's hundreds of Bay Area doctors and practitioners who also recommend reishi in integrative protocols for cancer. The most famous is Dr. Donald Abrams, who basically is at CPMC, which is one of the leading alternative health facilities in San Francisco area. So bottom line is, how do we make sense of these reishi cases? And I want to read you some cases from the book, The Mysterious Reishi Mushroom, on people who claim to have used reishi mushroom by itself. And in some cases, it either cured their cancer or they radically improved their health. So the first case I'll tell you about is Dr. Shioda. And Dr. Shioda was 70, and this is a patient who is in Japan. And he left his business. He was retiring, and he left his business to his son and his son's wife. And he was enjoying a nice retirement. He drank a lot of sake every night. And then all of a sudden, he started losing his appetite. He fell down and he started spitting up blood. And when he was examined in the hospital, they found that he had a stomach ulcer the size of his thumb. And the location of the ulcer was in such that they couldn't do an operation. So what he was told to is to basically get your affairs in order. So he was scheduling a meeting with all his heirs, because again, he had a business, so he wanted to make sure everybody was taken care of. And a friend said, maybe it's too early to get your affairs together. Maybe you should look into taking the reishi mushroom. And so basically within 25 days of beginning the reishi mushroom, the ulcer, the stomach ulcer, completely vanished. Another very surprising and inspiring story had to do with a woman who was suffering for 9 years with pain in her pelvis. Basically, in November of 1967, this is again in Japan, she had an operation for cancer of the uterus. And everything seemed to be fine for about a half a year until blood started showing up in her urine. And she went to see the urologist, and the urologist said that her bladder had been damaged by the radiation. So I want to add that this is very, very common, that radiation and chemotherapy have the potential to do great damage to the body. And this is why reishi mushrooms and other herbal medicines are so powerful, is because they can actually reverse the damage sometimes that's been caused by radiation and chemotherapy. So basically, she didn't get much better. And even if she did the slightest amount of effort, like exercise or work around the house, she'd get blood in her urine. And then her hips started acting up. She reported that I spent every day feeling like crying and nothing seemed to work. Then she started using Chinese herbs as a compress, and that worked a little bit, but not very much. And then a friend suggested that she started taking reishi mushroom and Japanese plum extract every day. And she reports that there hasn't been any sign of blood in my urine, and I've had no more trouble with my hip. And she thanks the practitioner who recommended that she started on the reishi. And I'll just read you one more case. It's also a very dramatic case. This is written by the father of his daughter who has a cancer. From the director of the hospital, I learned that she had cancer of the gallbladder. And so if she didn't get the operation, she was going to die in 8 hours. If she got the operation, she might live somewhere between 2 weeks and 3 months. And so, bottom line is that, and the report from the father was, at that time her complexion was very yellow, her urine was coffee colored, and she had a high fever, no appetite, and felt weakness in her arms and legs. She was in a really terrible condition, and it was impossible for her to have the operation. So she started to take reishi mushroom, and she started feeling better, and she lost the weakness in her arms and legs. Her fever went down, and in 5 days, her body began to show color. It wasn't so pale anymore. And basically, she kept taking the reishi mushroom, and her doctor expected that she was going to die months. She was already taking the reishi, and her doctor had already expected her to die already. So those are really three incredible case histories. Now, again, when I first read these, I thought, well, maybe we could cure cancer in the United States by giving everybody reishi mushroom. And after treating cancer patients for over 35 years, I can tell you that I don't believe that reishi mushroom is a sole cure for cancer. But I do agree with my hundreds of colleagues in the Bay Area who agree that reishi mushroom plus other herbs and nutrients and Western medicine can be a really powerful approach to integrative therapy. So I want to give you a few tips before we conclude about what I've learned using reishi or Ganoderma mushroom in 35 years of practice. Number one, use reishi or also known as Ganoderma as an adjunct to other herbs and nutrients. Number two, I recommend using high quality pills that are made as an extract from fruiting body. So remember that there's a lot of different reishi products out there, but you want to make sure that you're using fruiting body of the Ganoderma lucidum, and make sure that your manufacturer of the product has identified the ingredients carefully, because there are many substandard products available for reishi. There's the mycelium, which is not the fruiting body, which has been shown to be effective in all the research. There's also some products that aren't extracted. So you want to make sure that the manufacturer makes these pills by cooking the mushrooms first. And then, as I mentioned earlier, there are different species. But I do think that for integrative cancer treatment, reishi mushroom is one of the most powerful approaches. This concludes our podcast for today. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please be sure to like and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one, and be sure to hit the alert button to be notified of new videos each week. For more information, please visit us at getwellfoundation.org.